Every day, someone becomes a millionaire from crypto, and the very next day, someone loses everything. Fortunes built overnight, gone by sunrise. A single tweet can move billions. A headline can destroy an empire. Money has never moved this fast or disappeared this easily. So, who's really running this market? Who owns crypto? Who decides what it's worth? And who can simply create it? They say it's decentralized, owned by no one. Yet somehow, the same few names always seem to win. Coins appear from thin air. Prices rise on faith alone. Is this innovation or illusion? The future of money or the oldest trick in finance, dressed up in code? Because the greatest scams don't just steal your money, they steal your belief. And maybe, crypto has done both. If you're ready to find out who really controls digital wealth and why the truth might shock you, stick around till the end and subscribe right now. You'll never look at money or freedom the same way again. Crypto didn't begin as a scam. It began as an idea, a rebellion. In 2008, the global economy was burning. Banks collapsed. Families lost homes. People watched their savings, their faith disappear overnight. The very institutions that promised stability had gambled with the world's future and lost. Out of that chaos, a quiet message appeared on an obscure online forum. It was posted by someone using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. I've been working on a new electronic cash system, fully peer-to-peer, with no trusted third party. It wasn't marketing. It wasn't hype. It was a declaration, almost poetic in its simplicity. Money, created by people, not by governments. A network where every transaction was transparent, every user equal, and no bank could ever pull the plug. To the early believers, it wasn't about Lamborghinis or price charts. It was about liberation. A chance to rebuild trust, not through institutions, but through mathematics. Bitcoin wasn't a get-rich scheme. It was salvation. A digital lifeboat built from code and conviction. For a moment, the world saw something pure, a currency born not from greed, but from the ashes of broken trust. But every rebellion eventually meets temptation. And this one was no different. Because where there's belief, profit soon follows. And that's where the story of crypto changes. What began as a revolution slowly turned into a casino. The dream of financial freedom became a scoreboard. The question changed from what can crypto fix to how much can I make? By 2017, the noise was deafening. Thousands of new coins appeared overnight. They called it the ICO boom, initial coin offerings promising the next Bitcoin, the next big thing, the next chance to get rich before anyone else. Some were clever ideas. Most were copy and paste code and good marketing. Dogecoin, Shiba, SafeMoon. Coins born from memes, jokes, and tweets, yet somehow worth billions. Until they weren't. And then came the NFT mania. Cartoon apes, pixel punks, virtual cats, JPEGs that sold for more than real houses. They said it was about art. They said it was about community. They said it was revolutionary. But behind every sale was the same motive, profit. Buy low, sell higher, flip fast, repeat. Crypto wasn't about building anymore. It was about betting. Betting on hype. Betting on luck. Betting on the next sucker willing to pay more. Every Discord server felt like a slot machine. Every influencer, a dealer. Every chart, a heartbeat racing toward collapse. The language of freedom was replaced by the language of greed. Moon, Lambo, 110x. For a movement built on decentralization, everyone seemed to be chasing the same centralized goal, more money, now. The blockchain that was supposed to liberate us had become a global casino floor, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And just like every casino, the house always wins. Because when everyone's gambling on belief, someone, somewhere, is cashing out on your conviction. Crypto had stopped being about freedom. It had become about flipping. And everyone, from Wall Street to your group chat, wanted in before it was too late. Here's the truth. Crypto didn't just sell technology, it sold hope. Hope that maybe, this time, the little guy could win. Hope that you didn't need a suit, a broker, or Wall Street. Just Wi-Fi, a dream, and perfect timing. It promised what every system before it refused to give fairness. For once, the playing field looked level. And for a moment, people believed it was. But the human brain loves shortcuts. And the promise of wealth without work? That's the most addictive shortcut of all. Every chart that spiked upward released dopamine. Every new coin launch whispered possibility. Every influencer shouting, next 100x, made you feel like you were about to outsmart the system. It didn't matter if you understood the project, what mattered was that others did. Or at least, that you thought they did. That's how FOMO works, fear of missing out. You don't want to be last. You don't want to be the one who almost got rich. And slowly, the market became a mirror, reflecting not numbers, but emotion. People weren't trading tokens anymore. They were trading belief. Belief in hype. Belief in the next promise. Belief that this time would be different. Soon, it wasn't just an investment, it was an identity. HODL. Diamond hands. Wag me. We're all gonna make it. Words that started as jokes became commandments. Memes turned into mantras. And mantras became marching orders. Doubt was forbidden. If you questioned the system, you were spreading FUD. If you sold, you had paper hands. If you left, you didn't believe. This wasn't just finance anymore. It was faith. A belief system powered by emotion, shielded by community, and reinforced by profit. And in that faith, billions were made and lost. Because when belief becomes blind, truth becomes optional. Behind the memes and moon emojis, a new class of power quietly took control. While the world was celebrating financial freedom, someone else was building a financial empire. Exchanges like FTX, Celsius, and BlockFi, they weren't neutral platforms. They were banks, just without the regulation, the oversight, or the accountability. They held your money. They lent it, traded it, and gambled it, while promising you safety and transparency. And when the bets went wrong, they didn't lose. You did. Meanwhile, on social media, the new face of finance wasn't a banker in a suit, it was an influencer with a ring light. TikTok traders, YouTubers, celebrities, promoting coins they barely understood, endorsing projects they were secretly paid to push. And when the market crashed, they simply deleted the posts and moved on, while millions of followers paid the price. Then came the venture capitalists, the same powerful investors who once funded Silicon Valley's biggest tech giants. They poured billions into decentralized startups. But here's the catch: they weren't decentralizing anything. They were repackaging control. They bought tokens early at fractions of a cent, then dumped them on the public once the hype hit. The marketing said, power to the people. But the profits said otherwise. For all the talk of freedom, the same old system was alive and well, just dressed in blockchain. The same insiders. The same manipulation. The same illusion of choice. Crypto wasn't decentralized. It was deregulated. And that made it the perfect playground for the same kind of greed that once crashed the global economy. Only this time, there were no rules. No safety nets. No grown-ups in the room. It was the same old pyramid, just rebuilt in code, with smarter marketing, faster hype, and a public too dazzled to notice. Because when you think you're free, you stop asking who's in control. And in crypto, the house never needed permission to play the game. But here's the twist. For all the scams, the hype, the chaos, the technology itself is real. It's called blockchain, a digital ledger, open to everyone, controlled by no one. At its core, it's simple. A database that can record ownership, value, and data without a central authority deciding what's true. Every transaction, every record, is written permanently, line by line, across thousands of computers around the world. No middlemen, no bankers, no single switch to flip off. It's math replacing trust, code replacing corruption, a system designed to make cheating expensive. And used right, it can change things. Imagine cross-border payments that move in seconds, not days. Imagine supply chains so transparent you could trace your food from farm to fork. Imagine a voting system where every ballot is verifiable and no one can rewrite the result. That's the real promise of blockchain. Not the price charts. Not the meme coins. Not the endless gambling disguised as innovation. The scam isn't the technology. It's how people sold it. They took something revolutionary and turned it into a lottery ticket. They wrapped genuine invention in false promises of overnight wealth. They turned builders into influencers, developers into promoters, and progress into marketing. But beneath all the noise, the code still works. The idea still stands, that truth can exist without permission. That ownership can exist without authority. That a system can be trusted not because of who runs it, but because of how it's built. Maybe that's why crypto refuses to die. Because even when the money fades, the message doesn't. And while the world laughed at the scams, some quietly kept building. Not for hype, not for headlines, but for what this technology could still become. Because once you strip away the greed, what's left isn't a fantasy, it's potential. But there's another reason the world hasn't let go of crypto. Not because it's too big to fail, but because the people in power are learning from it. Governments watched crypto closely. They saw its chaos, but they also saw its power. A global currency that could move without banks. A payment network that ignored borders. A system that challenged their monopoly on money itself. And for a moment, that scared them. Because control of money has always meant control of people. But instead of destroying the idea, they decided to copy it. They called it progress. They called it innovation. They called it the next step in modern finance. But it's something else entirely. They're building their own version, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. The same blockchain idea, but with total, centralized control. Every transaction recorded, every wallet traceable, every dollar programmable. Imagine a world where your money isn't just digital, it's conditional. Where your cash expires if you don't spend it fast enough. Where certain purchases can be blocked automatically. where a government or even an algorithm can freeze your wallet with a single command. You wouldn't need to be arrested to have your finances locked. You'd just need to be flagged. Crypto tried to free us from control, but in the process, it may have shown those in power exactly how to perfect it. Because while Bitcoin was transparent, CBDCs will be surveilled. While crypto promised privacy, this promises monitoring. And while blockchain once meant liberation, now it means obedience, coded into your wallet. This isn't some far-off theory. Pilot programs already exist. China has the digital yuan. Europe is testing the digital euro. And the United States, quietly, is experimenting too. Each is sold as innovation, as modernization, as financial inclusion. But the real innovation is control disguised as convenience. Because once every dollar is data, money stops being yours. It becomes theirs, a switch they can flip whenever they choose. Crypto tried to build freedom through decentralization. But the system it inspired might become the most centralized in history. And maybe that's the irony no one saw coming. The rebellion that tried to escape the system taught the system how to build its perfect cage. Then, the music stopped. Luna, Celsius, FTX. Names that once symbolized innovation became tombstones for arrogance. Billions gone overnight. Savings erased. Dreams dissolved into code and chaos. Investors, builders, everyday people, all caught in the same collapse. A digital gold rush that ended like every gold rush before, with more ghosts than winners. But the real crash wasn't on the charts. It was in confidence. Because for millions, crypto wasn't just an investment. It was identity. It was purpose. It was belonging. Online communities that once felt unstoppable suddenly went silent. The Discord servers, the Telegram groups, the endless optimism, all gone. Replaced by disbelief, shame, and silence. Some had lost money. Others had lost meaning. Because when your belief becomes your brand, and your wealth becomes your worth, what's left when it all disappears? You could see it in their posts. The exhaustion, the confusion, the quiet heartbreak of people who had truly believed they were changing the world, only to realize they had been changed by it. Crypto promised freedom, but freedom built on faith is fragile. Once that faith is gone, no technology can bring it back. The coins can recover. The markets can rise again. But trust, once broken, stays shattered. And maybe that's the real price no one counted. Not the billions lost in trades, but the belief that this time we could finally build a system that wouldn't fail us. But maybe failure was always part of the lesson. Maybe crypto was a scam, but it exposed a bigger one, the system we already live in. Because the truth is, our money was never real either. The dollar is printed out of thin air. Value created by decree. Confidence managed by headlines. Markets manipulated by the same elites we claim to resist. Crypto was chaos, but at least it was honest about it. There were no illusions of safety, no promises of fairness. Just risk, raw, visible, undeniable. And for a brief moment, it showed us something profound. It showed us what money really is, a story. A collective belief that these numbers, this paper, this data, mean something. That they hold power because we agree they do. And when that belief collapses, so does everything built upon it. Banks, markets, economies, even trust itself. Maybe that's what crypto revealed, not the failure of technology, but the fragility of faith. Because in the end, whether it's Bitcoin or dollars, NFTs or stocks, none of it works unless we believe. Maybe crypto didn't destroy the system. Maybe it just held up a mirror to show us what was already broken. Crypto isn't the scam. We are. We wanted shortcuts more than freedom. Hype more than homework. Profit more than purpose. We looked for revolution, but settled for a lottery ticket. Because it's easier to dream of getting rich than to ask why wealth feels so unreachable in the first place. And maybe that's the cruel truth behind it all. Crypto didn't corrupt us. It revealed us. The greed, the fear, the hunger to believe in something, anything, that promised we could finally win. But the future of money won't be decided by technology. It will be decided by control. Who holds it? Who defines it? Who turns belief into power? And that battle has only just begun. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, because next, we're exposing how governments are building digital prisons disguised as progress. Systems that promise safety while quietly rewriting the meaning of freedom. And most people will walk right in. If you found this valuable, like the video, share it, and subscribe. It might help someone else see what's really happening, because sometimes sharing is caring, especially when the truth is this easy to miss. The story of money isn't over. It's just entering its next chapter.